Okay, so today what I wanted to do is talk about a concept that I've been thinking about for a little bit here at Fermat, which is like what you do internally is what shows up externally. And generally, the way that this will often be talked about is in the context of product. So it's like you ship your org chart, right? This is like a very famous thing that people will say, which is like, hey, the way your products show up is basically based on how you organize the product team internally. What I think is like less often talked about, but actually more important than that, is that everything that you do internally shows up externally in some way. And so the biggest one that is like an opportunity in our business right now, and then I'll share like a version that's more consumer oriented, is customer stories. Um, and the reason why I've been thinking about this more is, as we're scaling Fermat, one of the things that we've like lost track of is internally celebrating all of the like customer wins, how the product is being used, what are the wins that our customers are getting, how they're getting those wins, what is it unlocked for them that they were previously blocked on. Because what happens is, and by the way, this doesn't mean like go get case studies, but what happens is the more you talk about these stories internally, they just show up. And here's like an example. Let's just say you log onto your Slack channel and you're like, wow, Sarah on the team just had this like amazing story from this customer. And then, oh wow, like Mary had this amazing story and Grace had this amazing story and Josh had this amazing story. And you're like just bombarded with all of these stories of the benefits that your customers are seeing. And you're on the sales team. And then you show up on a call like 5 minutes after you see that Slack. What are you going to do? You're going to tell that story. That's what you're going to do. And the stories will circulate externally. Now, I'm not saying like, hey, say things that you shouldn't, like share things that you shouldn't share and all that. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying like, hey, a customer of ours used our product in this way, and I just found out that this is like the benefit that they saw, right? Like these are sort of like this like information that belongs to the product, belongs to the company. We would never share things that we shouldn't be sharing about our customers, and we have the luxury of working with customers for whom that sort of a confidentiality is very important, which I deeply respect. But that reflection happens very organically, and it influences how people then talk about you externally. The most obvious thing is like with marketing, right? So it has this impact on sales. It'll have an impact on marketing, right? Also, it has an impact on hiring, right? And so what you do internally is what you do externally. Now, I'm just going to try to reframe, and I do all of these live, so you're going to have to bear with me. With a consumer company, it's like, hey, I have this product, and internally, if like the people inside of your company are users of that product, right? And I once spoke to somebody who was like a user of like lube earplugs, right? And she was talking like, she was impassioned by the effect that it had on her life, right? And so the effect of the product that it had on her life, like it actually led to her joining the company, right? So it leads to hiring decisions, or it leads to hiring outcomes. Obviously it will lead to marketing outcomes, right? Because there's like this way of talking about things internally that will show up externally. And so again, like what you believe and what you advocate and what you like yell and scream internally is what will show up externally. And so it's just a healthy reminder to be very mindful of what you choose to spend time talking about internally and how you choose to talk about those things. I hope that was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.